Good morning, everybody, and we are live with Wolfgang Vadlar, who is third horn of the Vienna Philharmonic. If you've ever had any questions about single F horns and the Vienna horn, now is your time to type those in and to ask those. I'm certainly one of the most curious people about the Vienna horn, and I'm so excited to get to talk to Wolfgang about being in the Vienna Philharmonic, the New Year's concert, all these things that I've always wanted to know. So we're going to go live now with Wolfgang. Hey, how's it going, Wolfgang?
Hi.
How do I say? Grüß Gott.
Grüß Gott, ja.
Yeah,
Servus.
yeah, Servus. Hey, that's the Viennese way to say hello, right?
Yeah, the informal way to say hello.
Okay, yeah. So one of my friends used to go to Vienna quite often, and she would go to actually Salzburg, to the Salzburg Festival, and she heard everyone saying Goose Gott, and she was like, "Why is everyone saying Goose Gott?" You know, she misheard it. She was just imagining a goose, you know, Goose Gott. So, um, man, I'm just so excited to talk to you today. I know we have a few friends watching. I know one of my good friends from the horn section, David Griffin from Oak Park. He's watching, and he said "Grüßen aus Chicago."
Okay,
And
grüß.
David is the fourth horn in the Chicago Symphony, and also one of the members of the Prairie Wind Quintet and the Chicago Symphony Brass Quintet. So I know David is really, you know, we've both talked about how much we love the Vienna horn. He got in touch with Jungwirth, who's one of the famous Austrian horn makers.
Yeah,
And
he's probably the only Austrian horn maker that I know
okay, so
from Viennese horns.
is he the one that you would recommend if I was going to start looking at Viennese
Uh,
horns?
the Yamahas are also very good. It depends on which you like more to play, which is more comfy for you to play. So both are really good.
Okay, fantastic. And you know, David got in touch with Jungwirth about possibly one of the Viennese horn makers, or Jungwirth making the Wagner tuba for us.
Yeah.
So yeah, we tried the Wagner tuba. We had a set of 4 Wagner tuba delivered, and we got to play quartets from the Bruckner. I had a phone call come in, but we were on stage in the Vienna Philharmonic Hall, the Golden Hall, and we got to play quartets from Bruckner. And I just imagined that's where these symphonies were premiered, right? They were premiered in the Golden Hall in the Musikverein.
I not all of his symphonies, but most of them, I think.
Wow. Yeah, and it was just the sound in there was just like, what is it like to work there on a daily basis?
I don't know if you on a daily basis there, I think you don't recognize how great it is in reality. So as we are not allowed to play for more than 2 months now, I will realize how great it is again.
Yeah.
I mean, I read often, but if you play regularly there, it's your normal life, which is great.
Yeah, it's the same as living in Vienna. It's such a beautiful place. And when you have all these beautiful buildings and beautiful chandeliers and gold everywhere and marble, statues, parks, it's just normal life. It's the, you know, that's not, I mean, I guess you recognize it's special when you go other places.
Yeah. I mean, the more I travel around the world with the orchestra, the more I love it to live here and in Vienna.
Yeah, I've enjoyed my time. Where's the best apple strudel?
I don't know.
Do you have a favorite?
No, I don't eat apple strudel.
You don't eat apple strudel?
No.
Oh man. Okay. Well, that was one of my questions. And then also, do you have a favorite schnitzel, like a favorite schnitzel place you could recommend in Vienna?
Favorite Schnitzel place? There are a few. One is in the 13th district. It's really good. And I mean, one of the best is close to the opera.
It's Gamorkeller.
House
Gamorkeller.
Opera. It's really, it's for me, I think that's the best Schnitzel in town.
Okay. What's the name of it?
Gasthaus zur Oper.
Gasthaus zur Oper. Okay, yeah. Emily Quinn says these are the hard-hitting questions.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just, man, I'm really excited. Could you tell me about the relationship between the opera and the Philharmonic? Because I don't think, I don't really quite understand it. I believe you have to join the opera first, and then after a few years in the opera, then you're able to join the Philharmonic. Is that correct?
It's correct, but not perfectly right.
Okay, could you explain that?
The opera orchestra and the Vienna Philharmonic are are the same people.
Mm.
So in the opera we are employees, normal employees, and as the Vienna Philharmonic we are self-employed. So you win the audition for the state opera.
Mm.
You only can audition for the state opera, and then you join immediately also the Vienna Philharmonic. But it's my English didn't talk English for
Oh man, hey, you know, it's we understand perfectly. I mean, I couldn't do this in German, so, but yeah, at first you join the opera, and then it's kind of an
but
extra.
immediately all the concerts with the Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra as well. But to be allowed to call yourself a member of the Vienna Philharmonic, it needs a 3-year probation time.
Oh wow.
But you do the same work from the beginning on.
Okay. Wow, man,
And
that's
when we are on tour, we have to serve the opera as well. So part of the orchestra has to stay in Vienna to play in the opera.
So how many horn players are in the Vienna Philharmonic? 10?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we are a bigger group than usual.
I'll never forget getting to hear you guys play John Williams. Like I remember, you know, there was, you know, John Williams was in Vienna the same time that we were. And, you know, we've played these John Williams pieces, I don't know, like 20, 30 times at least, you know, but we only do them on like, you know, 4th of July concerts, Memorial Day concerts, and occasionally we'll do them as like a pops concert. And for us, that's like, you know, hey, we're playing the movie music and we're doing something as outreach to really bring the audience into our hall.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was blown away with is just, well, number one, you had 8 horn players on stage for the John Williams.
Everybody wanted to play this concert, so
It was,
instead of 4 horns, so.
It sounded so amazing. I mean, just like the hairs on the back of my neck were like, you know, standing straight up, and it was just like this heroic sound that I'd never heard. And then the pizzicatos on the I'll never forget the pizzicatos in the Musikverein on Harry Potter. And it just rang in there, and it was like you guys were playing it just as if you'd play Wagner or Strauss. You were taking it that seriously, and that was, and I know Mr. Williams he just seemed so happy to be there.
I think I mean, if you play music, you have to take it serious, and it's really good music.
Yeah.
We really love to play that, and for me it was one of my most fun concerts in my career so far.
That means so much to me as someone that grew up. I mean, that's one of the reasons I started playing the horn, really, was because, you know, you hear Star Wars, you're like, man, I want to play that. That's amazing. It's inspiring.
Yeah.
And, you know, of course, like, you know, you get your first horn CD and it's got like, you know, Mozart concertos and Midsummer Night's Dream and Wagner Short Call and, you know, the water music. It's like the sampler CD, you know. But could you tell me about how you started horn and your first experiences with horn?
I mean, my musical career started with violin. It was really bad. 5 years violin playing. But my musical education went so far in this 5 years that I couldn't stand my own violin playing anymore. So, and as we listen to classical music in our home, I have 2 brothers.
Oh.
They are musicians, professional musicians, and we loved classical music, and I always loved the sound of the horn. And after those 5 years senseless violin playing, no, it wasn't senseless, it wasn't useless. I said I want to quit violin. I really want to learn horn, French horn, because that's what I really love. The sound, I love the sound, and that's what I want to do.
Wow.
For learning a musical instrument, it wasn't planned that I will do that as a professional musician. I wanted to be a veterinarian for a long time.
Man, me too, actually. I love animals. That was my first love, is I wanted to be a veterinarian until I found the horn. And then I was like, wait a second, I really, really love doing this. But do you have any pets?
I've started to earn money as freelancing jobs when I was 16, 17.
Wow. And
after I finished school, I think, too lazy to study veterinary, and after finishing school, it's Matura, called Matura. I don't know what is in English, the final degree from school, before you go to university. I won a job in the second opera house. It's called Volksoper in Vienna. So it was predicted not to be a veterinarian then.
Unbelievable. Could you tell me, when did you start playing the Vienna horn, the F horn, or have you always played it?
Always. I never played double horn. I mean, I did much later, but I started with the Vienna horn, with the F horn.
Wow.
I was 13 years old.
Do you feel like that maybe gave you an advantage because this is what you knew? It's not like, oh, this is so hard, it's the F horn. It's just like, this is the horn, right?
I think F horn isn't that hard, especially when you grow up with it.
Yes. For
me, playing the F horn is much more natural and much easier than to play on the double horn, because I mean I have one instrument. I have to deal with it. So I never have the chance to switch to another instrument. But I think that's better for me.
Yes.
Otherwise, sometimes you might get confused, because with that part, it's better to stay on F or to switch on the B side or whatever. I don't have to think so much. I can stay on the F side. It's fine. And I can tell you something, because I feel like a missionary for bringing the Vienna horn to the rest of the world. Not only that they love it, also that they will play it. By the way, in San Francisco, they played a concert with Viennese horns.
Yes, that's awesome.
I was really proud of them. So I lost what I wanted to say.
You're saying you're a missionary for the F horn, and you want the whole world to try it. The whole horn world.
I started many years ago. You couldn't get an instrument with every note perfectly on the instrument. It didn't exist. But nowadays the instruments are so good, so there's no reason to have a double horn. It's heavier.
Yeah.
And I mean the high C is still a high C. Whether you play on an F horn or a B horn or a high F horn, it's still a high C. Yes.
Wow. Absolutely. I mean, that's one way to look at it. It's just that, a high C is still, you're still going to have to make that buzz in your lips. Yeah. It doesn't matter where the partial is on the tubing, right? True. And I think the reason that we feel like we need the high B flat horn or the high F horn, it's just that we feel like, oh my gosh, these notes are so close together. They are. And we feel like it's really risky for us to be able to play from C to C on one fingering, right? You can play all those notes on just the single, open F horn. So what exercises do you... Oh, excuse me. how do you so I guess the question is, it's a risk, right? But what makes you want to stay with the F horn?
Um, it's first of all, it's the sound. I think the sound is better, but it's not only the that this is only an F horn. It's also the how it's built, the instrument. The diameter of the tubing is smaller
Mhm.
on the Viennese F horn. I can tell you in centimeters, not in inches.
Mhm.
Maybe you could translate it, because the diameter of the tubing is about 10, between 10.9 and 11.2 millimeters.
Oh my gosh.
Yours is about 12 to 12.5.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say that's a almost an entire millimeter
Yeah.
or 2 millimeters difference. So the tube is actually like less wide.
Yeah.
Wow. And the size of the bell is smaller too, correct?
Well, little smaller. And I think that they made measurings, the that the how it speaks is different
Mm.
because of that smaller tubing. But for me, especially for the way I want to play, it's much more, it's a bigger advantage, because I love the way of the resistance.
Yes.
I can lean against this. It's much easier to play soft.
Yes.
And I think the main advantage of our instrument, beside that it sounds beautiful, is that it blends better with the rest of the orchestra, because this brassy fortissimo sound, so it sounds really loud because of that brassy sound, but it isn't actually that loud as a double horn. So you can't cover the woodwinds or the strings completely.
Oh
The double section actually can cover the whole orchestra.
yeah, I get that a lot. You know, hey, Les,
We,
you know, like
we,
I always get the hand or like the, you know, the conductor.
we still can play too loud, but we can't cover the whole orchestra. It's not possible.
And that's the thing I noticed, is that it sounds loud, but it's not dominating. It's not drowning out. It's still a blend with the it's still connected to the rest of the orchestra.
And for me, that makes more sense, because music isn't who is the strongest. It's always a connection and playing together. It's not always us who have the most important part in the orchestra.
Well, I mean, you know, that's I mean, that for horn players, we always have the most important part, right?
That's true. You,
I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. Yeah. Um, Wolfgang, could you tell me a little bit? Could you show us your horn?
are the most important persons in the orchestra, but we don't have always the most important part to play.
That's for sure. I remember playing the Beethoven Symphonies with Maestro Muti, and you know we did about 3 or 4 of the symphonies together with him, and then of course we had this break where we couldn't play concerts anymore. But I remember playing Beethoven 3, and of course it's a piece that we've played, you know, many times. But Maestro Muti said, "No, less horn, less horn. You're not the melody, less horn." And where I really realized where we had the melody, number one, the trio, obviously that's one part, and then anything that was marked like fortissimo in Beethoven's part. But the instrument that you use probably would have been easier to play all those different levels of dynamics, and it probably would have been closer to what Beethoven imagined for the piece.
As he wrote for natural horn, that might be true. Yeah?
Mm. So it's kind of a more authentic interpretation, but it's also a more it helps the texture and the melody, you know, come out. Yeah. Wow. What exercises do you practice really for some of the consistency? Do you have a specific book of etudes for the Viennese horn, or do you have a particular warm-up routine that you do on the?
You mean in the moment?
I don't think anyone has a really big routine right now or practice.
I think I didn't touch the instrument for 1.5 months now.
Oh man. Well, you know, I feel sometimes it's really good to take a breather from the horn. and
That's true.
it's good for the mind, because when we come back to it, we have a fresh, it's like a clean slate. I come back and I'm excited to practice. I have new ideas. I feel like I'm rebuilding my endurance again. And when I do that, I can kind of rebuild it with really good habits.
I have a routine. Yeah, sure. I play for warming up. I play the circle of fifth over
Mhm.
2 octaves, flirt, and then the arpeggi with it.
Oh, okay.
Some nice excerpts, and that's it.
That's fantastic.
For
Are there any books that you would recommend that we might not know of, that maybe Viennese horn players use as kind of like their Bible? We use Koprosh, Chantal. Um,
Müller, you use Müller, you know.
not as much over here, but I know in Germany they do.
For me personally, the Müller number 2, it's 12 etudes. If I really want to practice and build up endurance and everything, I play all those 12, and this gives me everything I need for the orchestra.
Okay.
For me, it's the perfect thing.
And is it transposing as well, or?
You could.
Okay. You
But
spell that Mueller, correct? Mueller? Someone asked.
Yeah, Mueller. Yeah.
Fantastic. Could you show us your horn?
Yeah, sure. Coincidentally, I have it here.
Hey, fantastic. So
You get it
it's
completely.
beautiful. Beautiful. So
I think a little bit. So
yeah, you've got some bling, man. You've got some gold, some silver.
yeah, as I'm getting older and the embouchure gets weaker, the instrument has to be more shiny than the.
I'm gonna get my horn lacquered. After coming out of quarantine, I'm gonna get at least a little shiny. So could you describe the valves? Because I know it's a different system than our rotary valve. So they're called a Pumpfen valve.
Yeah, it's a. I don't know if you can see. It's a double piston system.
Okay.
So the air goes in like here.
Okay.
You press the valve. It goes through this tube, then through the slide, and through the other tube back in the main tube.
Okay. So
kind
yes.
of from here it's better.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a little bit better for us.
Easier
Yeah, it's easier for us to see. And so basically that arm opens up the piston.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's one piston that goes down, and then there's another.
Both pistons go down.
Okay.
Because
wow.
Because if you see that.
I see, it's double piston. So what you mean is there's a piston on each slide, and
Yeah.
then the air goes down the middle.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Man, it looks like there's not a ton of resistance to your horn, but with the smaller tubing, maybe there's more resistance.
I don't know. I think mine much more resistance than some of my colleagues like. But for me, for my way of playing, it's perfect.
Could you tell me about the crook? What is that? The crook up near the top?
The historic thing from the natural horn stuff.
Yes.
So it's called the F crook.
Okay.
And I mean, you have a mouth pipe, a lead pipe. Is it called lead?
Yeah.
Lead pipe. We have the same. It's much shorter. It's going from here to here.
Okay.
But this wouldn't be too short for the F side, and then you get this thing just to make it in F.
Huh. So you can change the key with adding a different crook.
I could, but then the length of the slides wouldn't correspond.
Okay, so you pretty much like leave the same crook in for the whole concert.
Sometimes, I mean, there are some Falstaff or there's a Mahler Symphony. You have to play the low E.
Oh yes.
And it's not it's not possible on the F horn. I mean, I can bend it down, but sometimes we use just an A crook. It's a
Ah.
really short, just for that, just for short.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, so would you use an A crook as well for Beethoven 7?
No,
No, you just play that on the F horn.
F horn, or sometimes on the high F horn.
Is so they do have a high F
Yeah.
Viennese horn.
No, it's not a Viennese horn. It has rotary valves.
Oh,
The old high F horn, which has the same tubing like the Viennese horn, the 10.9 millimeters.
wow. That's fantastic. This is so interesting for us. And then you can change the crook, I guess, as like to feel different, feel the way that you would like it to feel.
Yeah, that's. I mean that for the character of the instrument, that's about probably 50%. The crook.
Mm, okay.
You still have a really good horn. If you have a bad crook, it won't work.
Wow. Yes, that makes
So
the same with.
but the crook is completely different maker. It's called Hagstone. Coincidentally found that crook, and it fits perfect to this instrument.
Oh, fantastic. So there are different makers like mouthpiece makers that make the crooks.
Yeah, this guy also tried to make a Viennese horn, but didn't work.
Okay, but the crook did. So that's good.
He made a lot of crooks, but not many of them really worked well.
Well, when I get ready to buy my Viennese horn, I'm going to consult with you on what crook and what horn. And is there a different mouthpiece than the double horn?
Yeah, it's a little. You won't. It's rusty.
Yeah.
You won't realize it from the outside, but the inner shape is more like this,
Okay.
instead of this.
Okay.
Not a cup size. It's more the, I don't know, the
A funnel. We would say a funnel.
funnel.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Wow. Fantastic. And the reasoning for that is again for sound or to help feel better or?
No, I think it's just for the sound.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say
But I have to tell you something. I once had a something like an interview about Viennese horn, the difference with double horn, and I had a colleague from the Tonkünstler Orchestra, really good horn player, who studied with Baumann, and I asked him to help me out with that, because he comes from a completely different school. I've studied in Vienna. I grew up with the Viennese horn sound, and we played the Nocturno, Franz Strauss, which is easy fingering and not so hard to play. So I played it on the Viennese horn. He played it on the double horn. Then we switched horn. So for him it was hard. He had to play it on the F side, because he usually plays only on the B side. And to make it even, I tried to play almost everything on the B side with fingering mistakes. But still, I sounded like I sounded before, and he sounded like he sounded before. So, I mean, the sound isn't only the instrument.
wow.
It's how you grow up, how you have it in your mind, how you learn it, and then you get this sound out of almost every instrument.
Wow.
Because I mean, you see our violin section is
Yes.
really for the sound, but they use the same instruments like the rest of the world. There is no Viennese violin; doesn't exist.
No. Yeah.
No. So it's kind of a little bit technique and 90% imagination.
Yes, that's it. Absolutely. It's like it's in our sound. It's what we have in our heart and what we have in our ear. That's fantastic. It's so great to hear you say that, because I think sometimes students or myself even, I've gotten hung up on, oh my gosh, if I just have this horn, then I'll be able to fit in with this section. Or if I just, get a new horn, then my problems will be fixed. Right. And it's like,
That's something really funny for me, that so many horn sections in the world, they are fixed to a certain maker.
yeah,
I can't understand that, because we have, I think it's almost half the section play Yamahas and the other half plays the Jungwirths.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Wow.
Really important is what comes out here, not who made this for me.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's such a great lesson for all of us. You know, it's just like, hey, you know, don't care about the equipment. Let's care about what the end result is and what you're saying.
Equipment is important,
Yeah.
but not the maker of the equipment. The equipment has to be good for the player. I have a sound imagination, and I'm looking for an instrument which helps me best to produce this sound. I also think it's not necessary to search for the perfect instrument, because I think it doesn't exist.
It does. No, absolutely. You're 100% right on that.
But I think you have to look for the best compromise.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And when you find an instrument that, you know, I just feel like at home on, and that's the only way I can describe it. It's like, okay, I can do what I imagine on this. It's comfortable. It's not perfect, but it works. I know the limitations. You know, it's like just like any relationship with, like, you know, whether it be with like a you know, partner or a friend, you know, that relationship's never going to be perfect.
Yeah.
But we know what's good about it and what's, you know, what doesn't work, and we stay away from the things that, you know, we don't talk politics maybe with our at the dinner table.
I can show you something. I mean, this is a really old instrument. It's I have it for, I think, almost 26 years now.
Wow.
I think it's the oldest Jungwirth played in a professional orchestra. And it's for me it's perfect, because it fits to the style I want to play. Some things are not perfect, but there are some tricks to make it better.
Whoa. Hey, it's that like that matchstick trick that Dennis Brain had. You know, like, so Dennis Brain had a colleague, and he had this this high B flat that was a little squirrely on his horn, right? And Dennis goes, "Oh, give it here," and he takes a match and he breaks it, he stuffs it down the tube,
Yeah.
right? And then, like, you know, it kind of went in between the thing, and he gave it back, and he's like, "A match in my horn," and then he tried it, and his high B flat was fixed.
That's the same here. It's our F. It has a without that it's like brr, brr, a little bit. With that it's perfect, and it's the correlation with your high B flat on the B side.
You're right. That's absolutely.
And I had some American students here. They had problems with their high B flat on their instrument on the B side. So we put the wire in the slide, first slide from the B side. It was good afterwards. So I mean, it sounds strange, but I mean, if it works, who cares?
Oh man, it's, you know, it's like little tricks like that. You know, we just find something that kind of, like, you know, hey, it works. I don't know why it works, but it does. But that's fantastic.
For the second as well, so it's for the F sharp.
Oh, okay. Can I ask what it feels like to play the New Year's Eve concert? The New Year's Eve concert is one of those concerts that's watched every year all out throughout the world, and actually New Year's Day, excuse me.
Yeah.
And for us, it's like my grandma used to watch it, and she got so much joy from watching these broadcasts in her home in Lansing, Michigan. And just to know that, like, you know, you play that concert. What does it feel to give that kind of joy and have it be a tradition every year?
It's hard to express, because I mean, as many people, I grew up with that concert. I listened when I was from a baby on every year to that concert, because my parents was watching it. And then in 93, or it was 94, New Year's Day 94, I played the first time. So it was really incredible. Now it's a concert a little bit harder than some of the others, because you have all the cameras and lights. It's really hot. It's about something like 31, 32 degrees centigrade.
Oh man, yeah. There's no air conditioning there, is there?
And if you have an allergy to flowers, it's also hard because of all
Oh,
the flowers.
wow. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I guess I didn't even think about that.
But I mean, knowing that so many people are watching that and having joy, it's a great feeling.
Yeah.
But
Could
it's a
you?
hard because I mean, we start with the rehearsals about 27th of December, and we played on the New Year's Eve on the 31st of December as well.
Yes.
So after that, you want to celebrate a little bit the new year, but you have to be careful, you know, because hey, you
I didn't think about that. Yeah, of course, if you have a little too much fun on New Year's Eve, then the next morning you're like, all right.
once I was much younger and with a colleague from the horn section, I won't tell you who it was. He was alone at home, me as well. So we went out after the New Year's Eve concert on the 31st. And we ended up coming from the bar directly to the New Year's concert.
Oh
And
my gosh.
embarrassing.
That's it's New Year's Eve, right? It's a celebration. And then you have a few days off, I take it. You have a few days.
No, on the 1st of January tonight, we have to play in the opera Fledermaus.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's the traditional Fledermaus performance.
That's the hard thing, or also the good thing in that orchestra. In a concert orchestra, if you play a concert series and then your colleague plays, you have 1 week, 2 weeks off.
Yes.
I can tell you one of my harder weeks. I remember we had Mahler 3, we had the Ring, the complete Ring. So we had rehearsals for Mahler 3, we had rehearsals for the Ring, we had Salome in the opera. For example, we have those subscription concerts. It's Saturday afternoon at 3:30 and Sunday morning at 11. So we played Mahler 3 on Saturday 3:30, and at 8 o'clock we played Salome. The next day, Mahler 3 at 11, and at 5 we played Götterdämmerung.
Oh my gosh.
So
I mean, it's, and that's the thing I think I worry about. Like, man, I get all these questions like, hey, like, what is overplaying? How do you manage yourself so you don't get swollen? Or so, like, if I don't feel right here, how do I still go and play a concert? And Bud Herseth, the principal trumpet from the Chicago Symphony, used to say, 95% of the time it doesn't feel right, but I still go out there and I have that sound in my ear and I just play.
when I started playing in this orchestra, or when I first subbed in the orchestra, I thought after that, I thought I won't be able to play in this orchestra. Never, because I can't play that soft, I can't play that loud, and I don't have half of the endurance those guys have. But you grow with what you're doing.
Yes. Yes.
And I think it's hard, but it's one of the biggest advantages of our orchestra, that there are not many orchestras who has to play so often together.
Yes.
So every colleague, you get flexible because of the opera job, because if you play an opera with singers, it's every night it's different. And this is something which you take with you in the concert as well. I mean, you have the rehearsals for the concert and you play the concert, but then some colleague does something musical because he just wants to do it, and everybody's reacting immediately.
Wow.
This orchestra can react so fast. It's really incredible.
Wow. I mean, and I think that's one of the specialties of an opera orchestra, is that they react so quickly. But then to take that to the concert stage makes performances so much.
Yeah, it's still the same people, you know.
Yeah. Wow. That's fantastic. Um, I had a couple questions about just the offbeats for the Viennese waltzes. We, oftentimes as Americans, we don't really understand. It's just not in our DNA to play those waltzes. And I think for you, it's something that you've grown up with and you've heard. And we always delay the second beat a little bit, bop, 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 and it's like, and it comes across like like a salsa rhythm, da 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 do da da, and it's
Yeah, but in reality, it's the opposite. You play a quite early 2 and then sometimes a 3.
yes, yes, that's it. Early 2 and then sometimes
And it's a word here. You play an early 2 and maybe a 3.
Well, there you have it. That's wow.
Also, you can't say that in general because it depends a little bit on how the melody is going, you know.
Yeah. Again, it's
So
the flexibility of being,
yeah,
like that orchestra that can just turn on a dime. Yeah, I think I misspoke earlier when I said a late 2. I think, yeah, it is, obviously it's an early 2, but so I guess the next question, Maestro Muti conducts the Vienna Philharmonic, and he also conducts the Chicago Symphony. I remember when I met you for the first time, you said how lucky we were to have him for our music director. And what does Maestro Muti bring to the Vienna Philharmonic? And I just think for our audience listening, it'd be really special for you to tell some of your experiences with him that make him a special conductor.
one thing is his big musicality, and I mean he's conducting our orchestra for almost 60 years probably.
Wow. Yeah.
So he knows all the tradition, and an orchestra is changing within 60 years a little bit. But he is the one who reminds us on our tradition, because we sometimes forget it as well. He said, that's not your pianissimo, that's not your violin sound, that's not your smooth sound. You can do it better. I know it because I know you for 60 years. So I think he's one of the best, in a good way, orchestral trainers.
Yes.
He he's one of the few, I think, in the world who is able to make an orchestra growing and playing better.
Yeah, and that's what we feel in Chicago when we play with him. It's just he takes us to another level. Like
we have a chief conductor. We only have guest conductors. But always.
Oh wow. Okay.
But he's one of the most important for us as well.
Fantastic.
Comes.
Thank you for sharing that. Now, there are a couple of stories that I would love to know just the context of. I know there's a story about Roland Berger and the long call.
Mm-hmm.
And if Roland Berger is one of the heroes of horn. Doesn't matter if it's Viennese horn or, whatever type. It's just, he's one of all of our idols. And could you tell a little bit about that story about him recording the long call? Because that, for me, is the benchmark. That's where...
Yeah, that's true. That's really a benchmark. He was pretty young. He told me the story. He recorded it. He was alone in the hall with the microphones. And he started to play. And they said, sorry, Roland, you have to take a break because our microphones cracked. We have to bring new ones. So those mics couldn't stand the richness on overtones. That's what the technicians said.
Oh, wow.
So bring new microphones, and to make his longer break more comfortable, they brought him a bunch of beers. I think he drank some of them, and then he recorded it. It was incredible.
Yeah. Wow. That's fantastic. So I basically just wanted to know that story because I'd heard he'd left and they had to kind of chase him down. Like I heard he like they played back the recording of the long call for him and they played like a version of it maybe that wasn't, you know, perfect. And he was like, no, I sound like this. And then he ran out and then someone had to find him. And then they found him and they brought him back to play it. But maybe that's just legend. That's where the stories
I
go from.
heard the story, but he didn't tell me that.
Okay. Well,
Because
yeah, I heard.
my teacher.
Wow. He was your teacher.
Yeah.
Wow. And what lessons did you take from him?
I started horn with another teacher, and after 5 years, I had, I think, all the problems a horn player can have with sticking tongue, couldn't release the tongue and stuff like this. So my parents were friends with his first wife, and over that connections, I came to him as a private student for some years. And for me, he was perfect because he tried to figure out what's going wrong, what I'm doing. He really played a lot for me.
Yes, and that's really important just to demonstrate, to hear
and
that.
and how he played and how he plays, and for the way I learn the best of guys like him showing something, because I can read what he's doing.
Yes, that
Then,
demonstration, that model.
yeah. So for me, it was the perfect thing, and his musicality, his producing the sound, it was, yeah, I relearned it, and it was the best thing ever happened in my
I mean,
music.
I'm so grateful to kind of hear secondhand from you about him because he's one of our heroes, really.
Yeah.
And I think he's one of the guys that inspired. I mean, we grew up listening to the recording of Carlos Kleiber with Beethoven 7 and Beethoven 5. And I remember when I heard that, it changed, it basically changed my life. Like, I was like, this is what an orchestra can sound like. This is what horn playing can sound like. It's like a whole new imagination for me.
Yeah. For me, especially his um, playing Mahler recordings with Bernstein. This was my role model for horn playing.
Do you have a favorite Mahler symphony with Mr. Berger?
Third one
The third.
with Bernstein. I think it's from '72.
Okay. And then after Roland Berger was Wolfgang Tombach Jr. or Wolfgang Tombach?
Yeah, I don't know if he's the predecessor of Roland Berger. Probably, yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, he's another one of our heroes for like the Viennese horn sound.
Could play incredible.
And I think as American players, I think we model.
He's 62 now. He's really in shape. It's unbelievable.
Holy smokes. Wow. I mean,
plays fourth horn now, but he easily could play first horn still. Easily.
Wow. I mean, just his sound alone is just special. Lastly, I wanted to ask you about the Viennese horn sound CD. That's like the album where you recorded the movie music, Back to the Future. You recorded, you know, all these great horn works. You were a part of that, right?
No.
No, you weren't. Okay.
Well,
I just have to tell you that CD particularly inspired us. Like we were, you know,
and I think Roland Berger did he was kind of the producer.
Okay. Wow. Well, we were listening to that album, and basically, I mean, it was just like, this is unbelievable. We were in our 20s, and we're all, you know, like young music students, and I remember hearing that, and just like, we'd listen to it, we'd drive to school to get our lesson, or we'd drive to rehearsal, and we'd be like, yes! Like,
these are from the different orchestras in Vienna, horn players, and I think even some advanced students played in this.
Yeah. I mean, what really stuck out to us too is the low horn playing. Like the low horn, we're just like mind blown. I mean, the high horn playing, particularly. I mean, like the guys are getting like high Fs, like above high C, and I was just like, that's not possible on a double horn, but yet you're doing that on a like a single F horn, and then the
So the high note is still a high note on every instrument.
unbelievable, and that's really really fantastic. No, that recording. I just have to say, like, if you ever see Mr. Berger or if you ever see any of the guys that played on it, just tell them how much that shaped the American, like that shaped us. It really did. It was like there was the London horn sound that came out, and then the Viennese horn sound came out, and it was just life changing. But as Americans, I think we model our sound after the Vienna horn sound. Like that's where we try. That's our model for tone is the Vienna Philharmonic.
I mean, Chicago was I think always was pretty close to what you imagine from horn playing.
Hey, well, it's just great to be a part of this fantastic orchestra. I know you have to probably get going here, so before we go, could you just say like what thoughts would you like to say for students? Like what pieces of advice would you love to give to them?
The main advice is try to be technically as good as possible, but not to play horn, so because you need that to make good music.
Yes.
One player, it's like some people they sing, but
yes.
they don't sing to be good singer. They should sing to make good music. That's why we play horn, I think, to serve all those composers and what they have written, to do it in the best way.
Yeah, I mean, and that's
and you never stop. You should never stop learning. For me, if I have the feeling I have reached everything I can do, the only thing after that is it's going down.
Yeah, you're either going up or you're going down, but you're never staying the same, right?
For me, it's I'm still learning things. Wow. I'm doing this for 37. I'm in my 37th year now.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning, and most of the stuff gets easier.
Wow.
Not because I'm more satisfied, because I'm never satisfied with how I play.
Yeah, me too.
But stuff I had problems years ago. Now it's easier. It's also from teaching. I learned a lot.
Yes, teaching. It explains what we do.
And listening to as much music as possible. That helps.
Absolutely. It's like a language, just immersing ourselves in it, and listening. Man, that's so fantastic. Thank you so much. Just lastly, why is music and the arts? Why are music and the arts so important, especially right now? Like, what have they given you? Why did you dedicate your life to them? And why are they so important for everybody?
I don't know. For me, it's like breathing. And if I stop breathing, I have to die,
Yes.
So life without music for me isn't imaginable.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty happy and lucky that I can be an active part of it.
Yes.
But I mean, still, I think as a passive part, as a listener or whatever audience, it's also important for those people.
Yes. Absolutely.
Because life would be dark without it, without art.
Yeah. It's
not only music, it's beautiful things, paintings, sculpturing, whatever.
Yeah. I feel it's an innate human need to create. It's an innate human need to hear music and to express ourselves with that song or with that, that art. And I feel, as you said, it's just as important as breathing. Wow. Thank you so much for your time today. It's such a pleasure to meet you. I'd like to get a chance to talk to you. I really appreciate your explanations of the Vienna horn. I hope your family stays healthy, and I hope you stay well.
We
And
fine.
as soon as we're
Thank
back up,
you guys who are listening.
absolutely. As soon as we're back up, I can't wait to come over and hear the Vienna Philharmonic, and
Okay.
get like, one of my life dreams is to get to see you play the waltzes in person. So someday, hopefully, bucket list, right?
Look forward for that.
Yeah. Hey, thank you again. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Thank you all for
Bye.
watching.
Yeah.
Bye bye.